Okay, I've got these AP Racing brakes. These are the 966 8 caliper. It's on my 23 BMW G87, which is a fat rhino coming in right around 3,800 pounds-ish. And these are great brakes, but I've been burning through pads and brakes a lot, or rotors a lot quicker than I thought I would. Primarily, it's my driving style. I get that, but also it's just a heavy car and a fast car that I go through them quite quickly. And you know, the actual brake surface itself is a little bit smaller than OEM, but there's better cooling, lighter calipers and things, and easier to change the rotors out, or the pads out, excuse me. So it makes it a good deal overall. But this is what's happened recently. So let me show you this rotor first of all. So it's got a crack right here, so I had to pull these out mid-session, midday on a session. The pads I was used like the typical kind of binder that holds all the brake material and grippy stuff together, and it just wasn't suited for it. So it was rated as a track pad. It obviously wasn't. There's just brake pad material smeared all over the place. You can see inside these J-hooks, they're full of stuff, and that just built up heat and it perpetuated the problem, made it much, much worse. And ultimately I got a crack there that I saw after one of the sessions. So I was like, okay, I'm done. I got to get some new rotors. Let's see if that will come in there. So luckily there's a nice guy at Matt Davis at 812 Wheels, and he was at COTA that day, and he had a set of rotors for me, so I was able to put it on and finish and drive the next day. So fast forward a couple of months, switched to a different pad, a PFC pad that is a sintered metal instead of using all that organic binder crap, and I loved it. It was a good feel and everything, but still, man, I generated a lot of heat. Look how warm this was. I can't remember how many days these lasted, but I want to say these rotors lasted maybe 3 or 4 days. But look how much heat I generated. All of these were cracked, gigantic crack right through here. They went all the way through. And so it was just, so my conclusion, I'm just not getting enough cooling in here. Now I have Speed Engineering ducting on here, which essentially, let me see if I can move this here. Essentially, it blows in this area right here just to kind of simulate this PVC pipe. Assume that is like where the hose is pointing. It's mostly towards the inside, a little bit on the rotor, but mostly towards the inside, which is good. But I don't know if it's quite enough. So I've got the idea. I've got a port on the front from Speed Engineering. It's blowing directly this way. I thought, well, I wonder if I can angle that towards this, towards the vanes a little bit better. So I added this little feature. Let me go to the other side. So here's what I added. This is just a piece of stainless steel that I shaped, riveted to the back pad. The idea is that it can take the air and deflect it more towards the inside. Now, I have some concerns about the efficacy of this, and I'll go over those later in the video, but I wanted to give these a shot to see if I can direct it more towards the vanes of the rotor. I also thought that maybe what's happening is so much air is coming in here that it's bouncing back, and I'll talk about that again in a few moments. Then I also thought, man, look at this nice wide opening here. Can I also add another port that blows the air towards the other half of the rotor into those vanes and actually near where the calipers sit? So let's look at some of this over on the other side. Here we go. So I started doing some prototypes, and just 3D printed prototypes. This is a check for fit, and my idea was something like this that would blow into this area with the Speed Engineering over here. So this is version 1, just dry fit. Wasn't going to use plastic, but just to do some samples. And so this is version 2, a little bit swoopier and smoother blend and everything. And then ultimately this is what I landed on. So this is a 3D printed aluminum part that I designed and had built for me, and that's going to sit in right here, and it's going to sit just above where these nuts are on the nuts and bolts on the rotor disc to the rotor hat. And the idea is that it'll blow air right into here. Well, now I've got two 2-inch hoses that I need to get over to here. I got the one for Speed Engineering here, and then I've got my new duct right here. So Speed Engineering comes with with this 3D printed doohickey, which attaches to the inside of the car and has a straight shot through this passageway right here. So through a couple of series of trial and error in 3D printing parts, I developed this one. So now I can have two ports come through that are connected to the front, and one hose will go to the speed engineering and one will go over here. I got a little nut insert right here, so that way you can have some extra security. I've got this side installed, and so you can see it in there. Had a little bracket that I built to hold it in place, but you can see through there. That's the front of the car. I might be putting some screen there just to protect from debris and whatnot. Now, one other note here. First note is, yeah, these are not AP Racing rotors. These are Paragon. I'm just giving them a shot to see how I like them. The second thing, that's what I mentioned I'm going to talk about earlier, is there's some potential problems with this. So these rotors are designed to basically be a pump to pump the air out. So air gets sucked in through here as the rotor's spinning and blows out through the outside there. So this is only going to work if I'm able to get more air through this and through those vents than what the pumping, call it potential or power of these vanes are doing itself. If I'm not putting more air than what it's sucking in, then these are no good. So that's a potential problem, but it's worth a shot to give it a try. The other thing to talk about is I'm directing these towards the vent here, or towards the vanes, excuse me. I don't know if that's going to be a problem, because currently the current one kind of points down at where the hat is here, and I'm just doing an experiment to see if I can turn it this way. Do I have cooler braking, and I can get some more pad life out of my brake pads and not deal with this extreme wear over a short period of time. So let me go put the driver's side on, and I'll take some shots of what that looks like with the caliper and the rotor off of everything. Okay, I got everything bolted in now. So there's my inlet. This is made out of nylon, I think nylon 12. I printed it on an SLS printer, which is different than like an FDM, so it doesn't have the layers. Makes a much stronger part, more heat resistant as well. And I don't know if you can see it here, but up in here, there was an existing hole, and I put a rivet nut in there to attach this bracket. So these come over here. The top one goes to the speed engineering hole with my deflector on it to force all the air towards the vanes of the rotor. And then back here is a secondary one that I 3D printed out of aluminum. So there you can see in there. And clears everything ever so nicely. Nothing's binding up against this hose. This is pretty rigid. I've got range of motion on here with these lines. I could probably take another inch out of this one, but I'll just let it be for now and see. And everything looks copacetic, so I'm going to put this inner fender liner in here. Probably have to do a little more trimming around this area, but we'll see how that shakes out. Okay, one final look here. So here's my 3D aluminum printed part, and it's blowing, the air will blow right into the center of the rotor there, hitting the inner vanes. It's bolted to this bracket that comes with the AP Racing calipers. So this will only work with AP Racing brakes, at least the way I have it designed. And that goes up through there. All right, let me know if you think it's a bad idea or if you think it's a great idea, and time will tell.